You want to record? I'll record too. No, this is a free country. Hello, darlings. Welcome back to the Chan Band. I hope you praise Jesus today. I got a new necklace. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen. Amen to that. Today, I want to talk about God's plan. I think this is like a topic that is really hard to reconcile, especially when you're just going through the motions of everyday life and kind of just focused on fixing and controlling what you can fix and control. And then, at the end of the day, when you've carried all of this weight on your shoulders, at the end of the day, then you come home and you thank God, and you you give some of it to him, but you're still holding a lot of it for yourself. And that's because it's really hard to wrap our heads around this concept of God's plan, right? Because we see what's unfolding in front of us. A lot of stuff that happens in our lives, it's so unexpected, and there's no deep spiritual correlation or connection that we can consciously, or I like, let me stop saying we, like I'm speaking on this collective experience. This I'm just trying to speak on my own experience. And I um when I see what's happening in my life and I like take inventory of what I'm going through and how I'm feeling, and kind of like, I guess, the signs that I've witnessed and seen, it's hard for me to make a logical connection, because the fact is there's just no logical there's not a logical connection for a lot of things. Like, a lot of things just happen, and we're never gonna like be able to explain why that happened. A lot of the times we end up blaming ourselves and carrying the burden ourselves. But like, I think there's a huge amount of power in believing in a plan that's higher than the plans we have for ourselves. Whatever plan God has for me, for you, it's much greater than the plans that we have for ourselves in our head. And it's much better too, I think. I mean, as long as, like, I don't know my audience, I don't know who's watching this. We don't have the technology, or I don't have the wherewithal to be able to know who's running into these videos, but I think a lot of the times what we have planned for ourselves is just, it's based on our limited beliefs. And I hate using the term the matrix, but when I use the term, because I don't know, I feel like it's just like, I don't want to, I'm not referring to the movie. I'm referring to more of like this collective scam that we're all victims of. There's reality. Like, there's what we see and in our perception, and then there's this entire spiritual realm. There's heaven. Psalms 135:6. The Lord does whatever pleases him throughout all heaven and earth, and on the seas and in their depths. Isaiah 45:7. I create the light and I make the darkness. I send good times and bad times. I, the Lord, am the one that does these things. It's been a real shift in perspective, right? Because it's so natural for certain events to take place in one's life, and one to think, oh, why? Like, stuff happens, like things that we don't plan for, things that we aren't prepared. Like we don't think we have the strength to deal with, but God's plan is bigger. God's plan is much bigger, and he doesn't put us through things that we can't handle. When you're going through a transitional period in your life, as I have been for, like, look, my career just started like 8 months ago. My entire schedule has changed, my entire hormonal balance, everything. Like, everything is just different. Everything is just different. My routine, the way, like, my workflow, it's different. Everything is different. And my priorities are different. My earning potential is different. Everything has changed in such a short amount of time. I've also just started on this walk too. Has not even been a year since I really started forming a connection with Jesus. So there's just a lot going on where it's hard in times to be like, this is a part of it. The challenges, the adversity, the hard times, they're to build your strength, build your endurance, build your strength, build your build your strength, build your strength, build your strength, build your strength, build your character, build your endurance, build your faith. Me, myself, I did not grow up going to church. I did not grow up praying. I did not grow up with this relationship with God. You know, I can fold a Post-it note with 2 pencils without even touching the paper. Like this. Like a hibachi chef. I get real weird when I'm alone. Yeah, you want to record me? I'll record you. But point is it's hard to, like, have confidence in any life plan when every time I've even begun to think that I had a foothold on my future, it's like, oh, no, you're gonna die. And then nothing matters. Like, when we're reminded how short life is, you notice how all of this little shit that we worry about every day ceases to matter whatsoever. Isn't that funny? Excuse my language. Honestly, I have a sailor's mouth. Not proud of it. Trying to change it. But when I'm on a passionate rant, I'm not really concerned about, like, the words I'm dropping. Because what do you come here for if it's not unfiltered raw, unfiltered footage? Even all that, like, all of that was part of God's plan, and everything is part of God's plan. Even this channel is part of God's plan. Like, God says, devote yourself to good works. We went through all of our clothes, and we got rid of the ones that, like, either don't fit. We got rid. So silly. Be faithful to God even when it, like, he doesn't make sense. And if something about your path isn't making sense, pull up Google or Yahoo or Bing or Safari or whatever the fuck you use and type in Bible verses about, and then type in what you're going through, and I can almost guarantee you that someone else in the Bible experienced exactly what you're experiencing right now, and there's an explanation for it. We're not meant to understand everything. Some things are better finding out and letting it unravel rather than trying to, like, hyper analyze it and figure out, like, where you went wrong or how you can control it or put the odds in your favor. That's the thing with God. You don't have to try to control your situation that you're in to try to tilt the odds in your favor, tip the scales your way. Because when you give yourself to God and you look to him and you Trust in Jesus. The odds are already in your favor. It really brings this sense of peace and clarity and relaxation. God puts a lens over your eyes. God is at work in your life right now. If you just look at the things that you have. Like, I think a lot of us take for granted like those basic necessities that we all need to even survive, but it's like having those makes the rest of life 100,000 times easier, and there's people that don't have it. I don't know, I just think a lot of us can be doing a lot more with what we have and the tools that we have at our fingertips. Like, you have no excuse. Like, if you have a fucking roof over your head and internet access and even one creative original thought in your head, the internet is at your disposal. There's little young kids that are taking advantage of the power the internet holds, and they're outranking you. They're outranking me. And I don't know about you, but when I see a 15-year-old millionaire from streaming on Twitch, I think to myself, I need to step up my game. Why are you 15 and your net worth is higher than mine? No hater shit. Just like, I wish I was further in life sometimes, but that's because I didn't harness the power of the internet like I should have been before. Ooh! Yeah. And look at my pants. I stole your grandma's bed sheets to make these pants.